Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome inside the gym here at Milford High School. I'm Anthony Mazzini, and I am happy to bring you coverage of Scarlet Hawks athletics on Milford TV. We should have a very exciting game for you tonight. Boys volleyball, Milford High School versus Boston College High School. And last game between these two schools was a nail-biter, and we expect nothing short of an exciting game here again tonight. The last matchup between these two schools was back on April 28th, and it was Milford that came away with a 5-set win. That game was played in Boston. It featured alternating set wins for each team, Milford winning the first and third sets, while BC High won the second and fourth sets, but it was Milford who came away with the crucial 5th-set win to pull that game in their favor. More recently for these two teams, last game for Milford came on Wednesday. That was a 3-0 set win over Catholic Memorial. That puts Milford on a 2-game losing streak after losing 5 in a row. As for BC High, they lost 3-0 to Zavarian Brothers on Wednesday, snapping a 2-game win streak for them. They are now out of playoff contention. And for Milford, they have something to play for tonight. They are playing for their playoff lives. A win and they're in the playoffs, a loss and they are out. A couple other things to play for tonight. It is senior night. Milford honoring 4 seniors in this game tonight: Jack Winship, Danny Zwanek, Aquila Rodriguez, and Danny Mendoza. So congratulations to them between all the hard work and sacrifices they have made for this program over 4 years. Congratulations to those seniors. And in more saddening news, this game is being played tonight in memory of Michael Haver. Michael was a freshman at Wentworth who passed away unexpectedly in March. He was a star on the volleyball court for 4 years for the Milford program, a graduate of Milford High School. He was also a star on the soccer pitch. I had the pleasure of knowing Michael personally, and he was really a great kid. He was full of energy and just a great overall kid, always kind to everyone, put a smile on everyone's face, and he's really missed in this program. So they are honoring him tonight, as you can see throughout the crowd, wearing neon and bright colors. That was kind of Mike's big thing. Wearing those bright colors, and that kind of goes to show a little bit about his personality as well. Just a bright kid, really lit up the room when he walked in, put a smile on everyone's face. And the boys for Milford as well, honoring Michael with a patch on their warm-up jerseys with his initials MH on their shoulder. So that was a nice gesture for them as well. So Milford has a lot to play for tonight between the playing for their playoff lives, senior night, as well as trying to get a win here tonight for their former teammate, Michael Haver. We'll have first serve of Milford High School versus Boston College High School boys volleyball coming up next, right here on Milford TV. Back inside the gymnasium at Milford High School. A rematch of April's matchup between Milford High School and Boston College High School. Of course, as I mentioned in the open, Milford took that matchup back on April 28th. That was a 5-set matchup between these two schools. Milford won in 5 sets, winning the 5th set after alternating set wins between the two schools. For each team, that was one of 2 5-set games over the course of the season. For Milford, their other 5-set game came back on April 12th. In a loss to Zavarian Brothers, and for BC High, their other 5-set game was a win against Catholic Memorial back on May 1st. So each team with 1 win and 1 loss in 5-set games this season. So this one has all the makings for a good one. Each team has experience with 5-set games, and each team has experience with each other after playing back in April. So we'll see how this one goes. And of course for Milford, playing for their playoff lives, a win and they're in. A loss and they go home. Their season is over. Combine that with senior night here, and of course an emotional beginning to this game with a celebration of the life of Michael Haver, who passed away unexpectedly in March. Star on the volleyball court for Milford, and he is missed by everyone, of course, everyone in the audience, and even some of the players wearing neon colors. That was Mike's big thing. And we are underway from Milford High School. The serve from Boston College High sends it over to Milford, and a spike lands to the floor for Milford, and they are on the board first. Milford returned that serve cleanly, leading to the kill. And 1-0 Milford. And Danny Zwanek now serving it over the net for Milford. Received by Boston College, sets up for the spike. It gets over, and a good dive and a save by Jack Winship, but that one falls out of bounds. And BC High evens the score at 1-1. BC High now with the serve. Jack Winship receives. Zwanek sets it up for Lana. And he whiffs on that one. So BC High now with a 2-1 advantage early in the first set. Serve again for BC. Milford returns it, but it's blocked at the net. By number 27, Ole Ogiano. And Milford facing a 3-1 deficit early in the first set. The bump on the other end by Milford on the BC High serve. Another block at the line, at the net rather. And BC High looks motivated early, 4-1 early in this contest. It will remain with BC High for the serve. Winship again with the receive. Zwanek sets up a teammate, flicks it over the net, but BC High controls a spike attempt, but that one is no good, into the net. And just like that, Milford gets the serve back, 4-2 in favor of the Eagles. João Boaventura with the serve now for Milford. Winds up, swings his arm through over the net. Received by BC High fairly easily, and the kill attempt goes out of bounds over the back line. And Milford makes it now a 1-point game, 4-3. Boaventura again will serve from behind the back line. BC High awaits, and the serve is away. Received cleanly, the set and the spike attempt, but the kill is no good. That one goes out of bounds as well, and we're all tied up 4-4 in the first set. Boaventura again with the serve. So far having success on his serve is Milford. Received cleanly again by BC. They go with the kill attempt. Boaventura with the reception, and they set it up for Winship, and the kill is good. Jack Winship leading this team in kills with 205, give him 206. And that one gives Milford the lead early in the first set, 5-4. Boaventura again behind the back line with the serve to the back line of the BC team, and that kill attempt is received well by Milford, but a little bit too hard off the hands of Zachary Brown. And that one falls out of bounds, evening the score at 5-5, and the serve will go back to BC. Into the game now for BC. Off substitution is Douglas Lowe, and he will take the serve for BC. Over the net, received by Brown, now to Zwanek. Orlana flicks it over the net. A little one-handed attempt for BC High. That one doesn't go. And just like that, the serve will go back to Milford, 6-5. It'll be Danny Mendoza with the serve now. Sends it over the net. A little one-handed flick over for BC. Tried to surprise the Milford front line, but Milford handles it cleanly. Now the setup attempt for Milford, and a little dump shot, but saved by Mendoza on the floor. Zwanek had to reach over Mendoza to keep that ball alive, but then a little bit of a miscommunication from the Milford front line. And that one lands on the floor, back tied up 6-6. Served by BC over the net, handled cleanly by Milford. Zwanek sets it up on the front line, flicked over by Brown, but that one is too far. And the Eagles regain the lead, 7-6. And off that serve again, Milford having trouble getting the ball over now. That time it was Chris Rivera trying to send it over, but he cannot. Market is 8-6, BC High. Jeremiah Powell with the serve for BC High, but that one falls harmlessly out of bounds. Serve goes back to Milford, 8-7. course, sets are played to 25 for the first 3 sets, and if it does require extra sets, the 4th and 5th sets, if needed, will be played to 15. For serve by Chris Rivera over to BC, and the kill attempt is good. That time from number 15, Ahmad Mims for BC High, and talk about fancy socks, look at those. High flying like Superman on that one for the kill. Served over by BC High, handled cleanly by Milford. A block attempt at the net. Gives BC High another opportunity, and they take advantage. The block attempt led to a setup for this kill, and Milford was unable to keep it from hitting the floor. Serve back to BC, but that one falls out of bounds, and the point will go to Milford, trailing by 2 points early in the first set. And this time it will be Winship lining up to serve for Milford. Dribbles the ball a couple times, wearing, of course, the neon undershirt and the pink shoes to honor Michael Haver. Zwanek at the line, flicks it over, and a good job by Milford to keep that one from hitting the floor. A little bit of a miscommunication, but they handled it well. An attempted dump for BC High. That one was Bo Ventura with the attempted kill. And a shank out of bounds off the attempted block. And Milford with the point, 10-9. So far, it has been a game of momentum swings in this first set. Milford right now on one of their own. Winship back to serve, swings his arm through, over the net, but that one is too far out of bounds. Substitutions coming for BC High. Presumably to set up their serving team. Andrew Phillips behind the line to serve for BC. Chris Rivera a little indecisive that time of whether he wanted to play it, but they do. Sends it over, hits the actual roof of the gymnasium here at Milford High, but BC gets it over. Winshipper at the receive. Zwanek sets it up for Bo Ventura. He little dump shot, and that, talk about effective. He had Mims going up for the block, and Boaventura just flicked it right over with the dump. 11-10 BC High. Brown now with the serve. He sends it over. Received cleanly by BC High. They try to set it up for Mims, but no good. All tied up at 11 in the first set. Zach Brown back to serve again for Milford. Dribbles the ball a few times. Now a little jump serve. Sends it over, handled by Phillips. Now a flick over the net for BC High. The setup for Boaventura, and he shanks it off the side of his hand into the net. And BC High regains the lead, 12-11. Mims serving now for BC High. Handled cleanly by Rivera. Over to Zwanek. Then the Boaventura. The kill attempt is blocked at the line. Boaventura again with another opportunity. He tries to find a spot in the back corner, but he cannot. And another point goes BC High's way. Mims again with the serve. That one falls out of bounds on the far side. Milford gets back within a point, 13-12. Zwanek lines up the serve now for Milford. 25 assists on the year for Zwanek. Not that time. Received not too well that time by Winship. Shanks it off on the bump attempt. And the point goes BC High's way. Over the net goes the serve for BC High. Boaventura with the attempted hit. That one's blocked. Goes over towards our broadcast station. Quick thinking on my part. 14-13 in favor of the BC High Eagles. Boaventura back to serve. Sends it over the net, received by BC High. Set up for a dump attempt, and good job by BC High to keep that one in the air, but eventually it hits the net. Point goes to Milford, all tied up at 14. Boaventura again with the serve. Milford has done well when he's been behind the back line serving so far today. Let's see if that success continues here. Sends it over the net. Flicked on the near side, Winship receives. Zwanek sets up Winship now. Winship with the attempted kill, and he does get it, blocked at the line by Ole Ogiano for BC High. But on the block attempt, it does fall out of bounds. Milford regains the lead, 15-14. Boaventura back to serve again. Received cleanly by Ogiano. And a block attempt at the line for Rivera. And in fact, it does go. Lands on the floor on BC's side, 16-14. Milford having good success at the net right now, whether it be kill attempts or blocking. Not that time, though. Can't get the block, but received by Brown. Zwanek attempts to keep it, but a violation on Milford. Point goes to BC. It'll be number 25, Douglas Lowe, back to serve for BC. And that one falls out of bounds, a little too hard on the serve by Lowe, and he will immediately get subbed out by number 6, Ethan Lunny. So BC High going with a strategic substitution as Mendoza is now back to serve, sends it over the net, a good serve. Had to take a diving effort on BC High side, and Milford sets up the attempted kill. And not that time, though, as the ball falls out of bounds. Chris Rivera was the one going up with the spike that time, but a little bit too hard. Falls out of bounds, 17-16 in favor of Milford. BC High with the serve now after winning that last point. Zwanek sets up the serve attempt. Blocked at the line. Winship keeps it alive. Winship now with the dump attempt. He again gets it blocked at the line, but keeps it alive. Zwanek now sets up Rivera. Rivera at the line, and it's blocked again by BC High. Zwanek attempts to set up Rivera again. He gets that one over, and it's good. Good determination and perseverance by Milford at the net that time, and it pays off with a point on the kill by Chris Rivera. Rivera also sporting the hot pink socks, but they didn't help him on that serve as that one lands in the net. Point and serve go to BC High. Gerard Fresca back to serve as we get a brief stoppage of play. Officials checking in at the scorer's table. Fresca gets the serve over, but it's out of bounds. Point Milford, 19-17. And back into the game comes Ogiano for BC High, replacing Fresca. Winship back to serve for Milford. He has 60 aces this season. First in the league. Next closest is at 43. No ace this time, though. Point goes BC High's way off of a violation. It will be Ethan Phillips back to serve for the Eagles. The Eagles sporting their white tops with maroon pants. Milford with the white tops and black pants. Mendoza receives on the other side for Milford. They got to get it over on this hit, and they do. Mendoza gets it over. BC High sets it up. Over to Mims. Mims with the jump. Reacted to well by Milford. They set up Mims again, and this dump is very good. Tried it on the first one, and Milford was ready for it, but not that one. Played that one very well. And the dump gives BC High a tie game again. Ethan Phillips back to serve. Hard serve that time. Mendoza handles it well. Zwanek sets up Boaventura, and a good diving stop that time for BC High. But the dive attempt by Anthony Spielman does not pay off. That ball shanks out of bounds. And it will go back Milford's way. Point and serve. Mendoza heads to the bench. Orellana subs in for Milford. And Zach Brown is behind the line to serve. Brown swings through it right over the net. And it pays off. BC High couldn't handle it cleanly. That one went up into the rafters here at the MHS Gymnasium, and it looks like we have a timeout called by BC. Milford only needs 4 more points to clinch this first set. 21-19, timeout on the floor. We'll take the break too. We'll be right back here on coverage of Scarlet Hawks Athletics on Milford TV. Here we go, Milford chants ringing through the Milford High School Gymnasium. Anthony Mazzini here live for this matchup of boys volleyball between Milford and BC High. Milford currently holding a 21-19 first set advantage. And that's served by Brown. A little bit too hard, falls out of bounds. And BC High gets back within 1 point, 21-20. It'll be Mim serving with his Superman socks, and that one falls out of bounds. Brown with good discipline to let that one go on the Milford side. And they get back within 3 points of clinching this first set. Of course, Milford playing for their playoff lives. A win and they're in. A loss and they go home. Zwanek with the serve that time, received by Ogiano. Set up with the kill and a good dig and save by Winship. That one will go to BC High. The Milford players wanted a violation on BC High for reaching over the net, but they will not get one. BC High back within 1. The serve over, Winship receives. Zwanek sets it up to Rivera, but handled well by BC High. Ogiano gets it over. Now Zwanek sets up Boaventura, and he kills that one into the net. So the lead that Milford once had is a lead no longer. 22-22. And a hard serve that time, but not accurate. That one falls out of bounds over near the fan section on the far side. And a bright fan section today, of course, honoring Michael Haver, who passed away unexpectedly in March, a star on this volleyball team through his 4 years at Milford High School. Honored him before the game. And Milford looking for a win. I'm sure Michael would want that. And they're going to get even closer to the first set now. And another timeout on the floor. Milford within 1 point of clinching the first set, 24-22. And while we have a minute, we'll take a look at the Western Alliance boys volleyball standings. Millis is just running away with the league this year, 12-0 in the league play so far, 15-1 overall. St. John's Prep comes into Friday action with a 10-3 league record and 13-4 overall. Zavarian Brothers, 7-3 in league play, 10-3 overall. Milford jumped into the 4th spot with the St. John's loss back on Wednesday. Milford sits at 7-6 and 8-11 overall. Of course, playing for their playoff lives. St. John sits at 5. BC High sits at 6. Medfield at 7. And Catholic Memorial really struggling this season in league play, especially 0-15. Sits at the bottom of the 8-team league. So like I said, Milford playing for their playoff lives. A win and they're in, a loss and they go home. And they are just 1 point away from clinching what could prove to be a crucial set. Of course, back on April 28th, Milford won that first set en route to a 5-set win. against BC High. Of course, that game was played in Boston, so Milford with the home court advantage right now. A good dive and save by Boaventura. Rivera sends it over the net on the kill attempt. But a violation on Milford and BC High now with the serve. Pulls within one, 24-23. It'll be Andrew Phillips behind the line. The sophomore sends it over the net. BC High looking to extend this first set. Winship with the kill. And that one sends Milford with a first set victory, 25-23. It was blocked at the net, but to no avail. So while we change sides, we'll take a quick timeout. Milford winning the first set. We'll be right back with second set action right here on Milford TV. Second set action coming up in just a couple moments here on Milford TV. Milford claiming the first set over BC High, so they hold a one-set advantage going into the second set. Earlier in the day, the JV team for Milford came away with a 2 out of 3 set victory over the BC High JV team. So Milford looking to follow in the JV team's footsteps. And they only need 2 more sets to do so after winning the first set, 25-23. Today, a double-header for Milford TV. My usual broadcast partner, Tim Coet, was over at the Milford High School softball field earlier today. And the Milford High School girls softball team was able to come away with a big victory on their senior day as well, 15-0 over Foxborough. So a busy day here for Milford TV, but 2 important games to cover. Milford softball playing in their senior day. That game played against Foxborough was scheduled for Monday, but due to the rain, they rescheduled it to today. And of course, tonight being the senior night for the boys volleyball team here in the Milford High School gymnasium, as well as honoring Michael Haver, a former teammate for many of these kids on the court for Milford. He is truly missed, both on and off the court. A nice celebration of his life before the game started, an emotional celebration. So Milford looking to not only get into the playoffs, but also to play this game for Mike. And we're back with second set action, and it's going to be BC High who gets on the board first. Off this spike attempt from Milford. BC High back to serve, sends it over the net. It is Brown in the back right to receive. Now Winship sends it over the net, and that one is good. Jack Winship leading this team in kills at 205. That puts him at second in the league, and mark up another one for him there. 205 coming in. He already has a couple today. Milford sends it over on the serve. And the kill that time from BC High. Ramis Nagacholko, excuse me. So Nagachoko with the kill gives BC High a 2-1 advantage. Make it a 3-1 advantage now for BC High in this second set. Milford claiming the first set, 25-23. Really got close at the end of that first set. And now Winship with a diving attempt to keep this one alive, but to no avail. And BC High now with a 4-1 advantage, and back to serve is Ethan Lunny. Sends it over to Winship. Winship receives. Zwanek sets up Winship. And the block attempt at the net for BC High. Shanked out of bounds. Give the point to Milford, 2-4. Mendoza now checks in for number 8, Josh Orellana. Orellana, a sophomore on this Milford team. Mendoza, a senior, honored before the game with the rest of the Milford seniors. He sends that one over a net. Tick, a good diving play from BC High to keep that one alive, and they do get it over the net. Now it's Boaventura coming from the back line to set up Rivera, but BC High handles it, and the block attempt at the net by Rivera is no good. Give that kill to Ethan Phillips at the net for BC High, and they take the serve back 5-2. A little bit of a wet spot on the court. The official mops that up, and we are back to play. Jeremiah Poe sends that one beyond the back line, and it is 5-3 BC High, but Milford gets the serve back. It'll be Rivera with the serve. Rivera with 20 aces on the season sends that one over, handled by Phillips. A little bit of a miscommunication that time, but they do get it over. Zwanek now sets up Winship with the kill, but it's blocked, but it goes out of bounds on the ricochet over into the Milford bench. So the kill attempt by Winship is good. Milford trails now by only one. It'll be Rivera with the serve again. A brief stoppage in play to allow Rivera to tie his shoe. Milford winning the first set, 25-23. And if they can get the ball back into the hands of Boaventura, they really had success when he served. But that time it is Rivera with the serve, a little dump attempt off the serve by BC High. They go to set up Mims, and he's been a force at the net so far today, but not that time. All tied up again. Excuse me, 5-4. Nope, now they change it, 5-5. I thought that it was 5-5. Scoreboard operators a little slow over there, but we do indeed have a 5-5 second set. Good save by Phillips. Almost hits the the basketball net up in the rafters of Milford High School gym, but Brown on the return attempt sends it beyond the back line. And BC High back with the lead, serving from left to right. Good diving attempt by Mendoza to keep that ball alive for Milford. And the spike and kill at the net by Ethan Phillips gives BC High a 7-5 lead. Block attempt at the net was no good. Mendoza again shanks that one. Ball actually ended up behind Mendoza. Coach Andrew Mainini giving Mendoza a little bit of a talking to after that on the attempted receive by Mendoza. He gets another opportunity and does better with it this time. Zwanek sends it towards the front of the net. Milford gets it over, then returned quickly by BC High, tried to catch Milford by surprise. A block attempt that time by Milford is shanked out of bounds. Winship could only get a hand on it, but to no avail. Trickles far out of play. Mendoza corrals it and sends it back over to Ole Ogiano. BC High serve up 4 points. Ogiano sends it over with his left hand. Received by Brown, sends it over to Winship. He sends it over to the far side. Blocked and is stuffed at the net. Good attempt that time from BC High. But the ball, after getting stuffed by two players, one BC High and one Milford, falls on BC High's side, and they lose possession of the serve, and it'll be Winship back for Milford, serving from right to left. Good diving play that time by Ogiano to keep that alive. Now it's Phillips sending it back over. Zwanek now to Boaventura. He tried to send that over with his left hand to the opposite far side. Tried to catch BC High shifting, but was unable to do so, and now BC High back up to a 4-point lead. Served over by Ethan Phillips. And a violation for Milford. Boaventura kill does not count. And BC High pulling away now with this second set after Milford claimed the first one. 11-6 in favor of BC High. Phillips again back to serve, sends it over with his right hand. Mendoza receives. Zwanek sets up Boaventura. The kill is no good. Out of play. And we're going to have a timeout, Milford, as BC High opens up a 6-point advantage in this second set. Timeout on the floor. We'll take one too. Milford down by 6 points in this second set, but they are up one set. We'll be right back here with coverage of Scarlet Hawks athletics on Milford TV. Right back to action from the Milford High School Gymnasium. Milford with a one-set advantage, but trailing here in the second set, 12-6. And right now, this game is trending in the direction of the earlier matchup between these two schools. Of course, as I've mentioned a couple times now, these teams faced off back on April 28th. Milford coming away with a 5-set victory, but Milford won that first set before BC High came back and won the second set. So this game is trending in that direction now, but Milford is going to get the serve back, as Ethan Phillips sends that serve right into the net, and he's going to get subbed out in favor of Andrew Phillips. Both sophomores for this BC High team. I wonder if there's any relation there. Wasn't able to ask Coach Jordan Roldano about that prior to the game, and this block attempt at the line by Milford's Josh Orellana. Shanked out of bounds. Milford regains BC High regains a 13-7 lead. Another substitution for BC High. Checking in is Joey Brink, and coming out of the game is number 32, Jeremiah Poe. Spielman with the serve that time lands out of bounds. Milford gets another point back within 5, 13-8, and it'll be Danny Zwanek serving for Milford. Zwanek tied for second coming into the game with 25, tied for second on the team with 25 aces this season for Milford. No ace that time. And it looks like BC High is going to get the point off a Milford violation after Milford tried to set up Boaventura with the block. Ball sent over the net by BC High. Zwanek sets up Orellana, and that one falls to the floor on BC High's side. The block attempt at the net was no good for BC High. They did get the block, but not over the net. And it'll be Boaventura to serve now. Milford really had a lot of success when he was serving in the first set. Let's see if that success continues now. He sends it over. BC High, good composure to stay with that one after it looked like it was going to hit the floor. They set up Winship, and the block is no good on BC High's side. Winship gets another kill. Milford back within 4. And the success with Boaventura serving continues. That time Winship was the recipient of the kill. Boaventura with the serve again. And a little dump attempt by BC High, handled cleanly by Zwanek. Setting up Rivera for the kill, no good. And a violation on BC High. Milford again using this momentum from Boaventura serving. Make it 14-11. Milford playing with very few substitutions right now. Of course, a win or go home for Milford. I'm sure Coach Mainini is shortening the bench as another point goes to Milford. 14-12. So Milford staging a little bit of a comeback right here in the second set. They do have a one-set advantage over the Eagles after winning the first set, 25-23. Boaventura back to serve again, sends it over towards the middle. Spielman sets up for the block, and Milford isn't able to keep that ball off the floor. And again, more substitutions for BC High. It'll be Ethan Lunny back to serve. Only a freshman on this BC High team, and he sends that one well out of bounds beyond the back line. Aiming for that back right corner, but to no avail. Milford back within 2, 15-13, trailing the Eagles. It'll be Mendoza serving. Number 4 for Milford sends it over with his right hand to the back line. Spielman receives. Set up at the front for Phillips. He sends the spike over, but to no avail. And another timeout on the floor. So Milford staging a little bit of a comeback now. They were trailing by as many as 5. But back within 1, 15-14. Timeout on the floor. We'll take it too. We'll be right back with coverage of Scarlet Hawks athletics. Boys volleyball, Milford versus BC High, right here on Milford TV. So coming out of the timeout, it is a Milford serve, but they are down by 1 point in this second set. 15-14, the advantage to BC High, received by Spielman on the back line off the Mendoza serve. The dump over by Lowe. Excuse me, that dump over was not by Lowe, that was by Pow, excuse me. And Milford ties this game up off a violation for BC High. Mendoza with a direct serve over the net. And another violation against BC High, and Milford reclaims the lead, 16-15. And after Milford trailed for much of this second set, they are now back within 1. Mendoza again with the serve, sends it over with his right hand from right to left. Received by BC High, and the spike into the net by Poe. Milford back with a 2-point advantage. Mendoza again. Received by Phillips. Set up at the line. The net, rather. And BC High reaches over the net, trying to send that one to the floor on Milford's side. And right now we're seeing some frustration mount on the BC High side as we're going to get a substitution. Jeremiah Poe steps out for BC High in favor of Joey Messino. Mendoza in the black shirt, serving from right to left, received by BC High, and a little dump shot works very effectively. Are they going to give the point to BC High? No, they will not. Looks like another violation on BC High. That's a couple in a row now. And Milford taking advantage, opening up now a 4-point lead, 19-15, and just when it looked like Milford was lost in this second set, they have come roaring back. Received by BC High off the Mendoza serve. Another dump attempt for BC High, blocked at the line by a combination of Rivera and Brown, and BC High couldn't regain control. That ball falls to the floor, and Coach Roldan for BC High wants a timeout after all momentum seems to be lost. Another timeout will take it to 20-15. Milford has reopened a 5-point lead. We'll be right back with coverage of this boys volleyball game. Scarlet Hawks Athletics on Milford TV. Second set action about to resume here from the gymnasium in Milford High School. While we have a moment, let's look at the schedule for each of these teams. And for Milford, actually for each team, they're playing in their last game of the season. Milford coming off a 3-set victory over Catholic Memorial on Wednesday. And as for BC High, they're coming off a 3-set loss to Severian Brothers also on Wednesday. So Milford looking to continue their 2-game winning streak, while BC High is looking to end the season on a high note after being eliminated from playoff contention. And another violation on BC High's side. And Danny Mendoza is pumped up over there. His serving has really gotten Milford back into this game with the help of some BC High violations. But on his senior night, Danny Mendoza behind the serving line is giving Milford a boost. He'll serve again with his right hand from right to left. Received by BC High. Set up at the line. Jack Winship tries to save it. And he's saying, my bad, my bad. It looked like Danny Mendoza might have had a play on that ball on the dive. Jack Winship realizing his mistake, that senior leadership coming into play. Jack, one of 4 leaders, senior leaders on this team that were celebrated earlier in the game. And Milford will get the serve right back as that BC High serve lands out of bounds. Milford needing 3 more points to clinch this second set, and it will be Rivera with the serve. Sends it over with his right hand, received, set up at the net, tipped over by Mims. Winship with the attempted spike, to no avail, received, and Mims, boy, that is just tough to receive, coming hard downhill right at Winship. Not much he could do about that one. And from what I've seen so far, BC High needs to go through Mims at the net. His spikes have been deadly so far. Instead, it is a Milford kill attempt received cleanly by BC High. Another attempt for Mims. He dumps that one over, but Zwanek was ready. Brown keeps it alive. Winship sends it over. Lunny on the BC side keeps it alive. A dump attempt for BC High. They're trying a lot of those right now. Set up for Mims at the line. And Zwanek flying out of nowhere to try to keep that one alive. But sends it behind him. BC High back within 4. It'll be Ogiano with the serve. Sends it over with his left hand. Mendoza receives. Zwanek now over to Rivera. Rivera sends it over. A dump attempt by BC High, and it works again. Almost a little bit of a collision between 3 Milford players, and Coach Mayanini wants a timeout after Milford, who had a much larger lead not too long ago, now is only up by 3, still needing 3 more points to clinch this second set. And we'll stay here. We won't go to a commercial. We'll stay here and we'll talk about a little bit about BC High and why they're out of the playoffs this season. And when you look at their schedule, between April 3rd and April 28th, that game they played against Milford on the 28th, BC High rattled off 9 losses in a row early in the season, and that really put a damper on their season, kind of took them out of playoff contention right from that point. They started off the season with a 2-0 record, and then things went downhill from there, of course, with those 9 losses. They did win 2 in a row. It looked like things might have been able to pick back up, but then another string of losses spanning from May 3rd all the way to May 10th. Another set of 4 losses as well, so BC High doing themselves no favors early in the season with those 9 straight losses. But here competing, trying to end the season on a high note. Of course, losing their winning streak last game to Zavarian Brothers, a 3-set loss. But they're trying to come into Milford's gym tonight and come away with a victory. Back to second set action. Winship sends it over, trying to set up Mims with the kill, and he does get it. Finds the back left corner, and Mims flying high like Superman sends that ball over the net. Chalk it up as a kill for Ahmad Mims. Sent over the net on the serve by BC High. Zwanek sets up Winship. He gets the dump attempt, and it falls to the floor. And when you have a player that is so effective with kills, such as Jack Winship coming into the game, he had 205 on the season. That dump attempt is good. You always have to watch out for the kill. Winship serving now, sends it over, received cleanly by BC High. Zwanek sets up Brown at the net. Set over the net. And the ball trickles over near our broadcast station, out of bounds. Milford needing just 1 more point with their serve to claim this second set, 24-20. Winship will be the server. 60 aces coming into the season, coming into the game rather. Can he get one here to clinch the second set? He cannot. BC High handles it cleanly. Sent over, into the net. And Milford, with their second win in a row, consecutive set wins. And we'll go to third set action. Milford needing only one more set win to claim this win and enter the playoffs. BC High needing a comeback attempt, needing 3 consecutive sets if they want to win this game. We'll be right back with coverage of Scarlet Hawks Athletics on Milford TV. Right back to action here from the Milford High School Gymnasium. Milford leading 2-0 over BC High. And while we have a couple of minutes, let's take a look at Jack Winship. And he really is a jack of all trades for this Milford team. His name certainly lives up to the billing. He leads the team in multiple categories, including kills coming into the game with 205. He also leads the team in aces coming into the day with 60. Leads the team with 227 digs on the defensive side. And he also leads the team with 324 serves received coming into this game. So he really is just a force in all aspects of the game. He's also in the top 5 in multiple categories, including kills. He comes into the day ranked 2nd in the league. As far as digs, he came into the league 2nd in the league in that as well. 1st in the league in serving aces. The next closest to Jack's 60 is 43. That would be 2nd place in the league. So really, a senior for this Milford team that has really propelled them throughout the season, and now entering the last set on the senior night here in Milford High School. Let's see if Jack Winship and the rest of this Milford team can find a way into the playoffs. Of course, Milford playing for their playoff lives, and it gets off to a good start here in the 3rd set. BC High serving from right to left, and that one right into the net. And Milford very quickly gets on the scoreboard first and gets the serve back. It'll be Danny Zwanek serving. Spielman receives. Set up at the net. And the point will go to BC High on a violation by Milford. That kill attempt by Nagacholko at the line. Rivera keeps it alive for Milford, and then a miscommunication between the other 5 Milford players. Orlano was the closest to it, but looked like a deer in headlights that time. And BC High regains a 1-point lead, make it 2-point lead as a violation on Milford. BC High with the serve received by Winship. Zwanek sets up Rivera for the kill, and oh, it's good. All Andrew Phillips could do that time was get a hand on it, but no good on his defensive effort. That one was very hard hit off of the outstretched hand of Rivera, and Milford back within 1, and they get the serve back, 3-2 BC High. It'll be Boaventura behind the serving line, sends it over with his right hand from left to right. BC High with the set, sends it over, and the set over for Orellana ties the set up at 3 points apiece. Nobody wanting to pick up the ball that time for either side. A little help from the fans over on the far side, getting Boaventura the ball. And number 2 for Milford sends it over with his right hand. Received by BC High. The setup attempt for Nagacholko falls to the floor. The kill attempt is good for Nagacholko. And BC High regains a 1-point lead. Ethan Lunny behind the serving line, sends it over, received by Winship. Zwanek at the line, set up for Rivera, and oh, that one is saved and kicked by BC High. But the attempted return shot falls out of bounds. Good effort by BC High. Not sure whose leg flung up to save that one. But overall, a good effort from BC High. But they could not get the point. That one falls out of bounds. It'll be Mendoza for Milford with the serve. Game match rather, set, I should say, tied up at 4. Mendoza receives the kill attempt, but a violation on Milford, says the referee, and the point will go back to BC High. Couple of substitutions on the BC High side. It'll be Jemiah Poe coming out. And it'll be Fresca with the serve for BC High. Zwanek sets up Winship. A dump. Handled cleanly by BC High. And the spike that time falls to the floor for BC High. They've had quite a few of those so far in this third set, and they've paid off, leading to a 6-4 lead so far in the set. Milford winning the first 2 sets, and that one on the serve shanked over into the fan section, the first row on the far side. So Milford regains the serve, down 1 point in the third set. However, with a 2-set advantage, it'll be Rivera with the serve, sends it over with his right hand. Set up at the line. That kill attempt falls out of bounds as well. Milford ties the set at 6 apiece. Phillips keeps the serve. Tied 6-6. Sends it over to the back line. Not received very well that time by Phillips, but BC High does get it over. Rivera sets it up for Zwanek, and Zwanek sets it up for Brown. Very well executed that time by Milford. Rivera to Zwanek to Brown, and the kill for Milford gives them a 1-point advantage. Rivera again with the serve. Again to the back line to Phillips. Over to Phillips again. And another violation for BC High. Those have killed them, especially back in the last set. And it'll be Rivera again with the serve. Milford with a 2-point advantage here in the third set. Mims tries a little dump shot. Brown blocks it at the net. Another block, received by Rivera. Keeps this rally alive. Oh, and Phillips with a good kill. Mendoza did all he could, but Phillips sent that one right into the chest of Danny Mendoza, kind of handcuffed him. Not much he could do with that one. Milford receives the serve, does a good job of it. And a violation on BC High's side. Milford takes a 2-point advantage again. Winship now with the serve in the far corner, over near the fan section. Takes his time. One hop and sends it barely over the net. Received well by Spielman on the back line. Mims just out jumping Brown that time. Spikes it to the floor. Chalk it up as a kill for Mims. BC High gets back within 1. It'll be Ethan Phillips, the sophomore for BC High, serving it over. Winship receives. Zwanek sets it up for Boaventura. The kill, no good. Received by Spielman. Tries to set it up for Mims, but to no avail. Another violation for BC High. And that has been their kryptonite so far, all these violations. Orellana checks back in for Milford, replacing Mendoza. And it'll be Brown coming from the front line, now back to serve for Milford. Brown takes a couple dribbles, deep breath, and now sends it over with his right hand. Spielman receives. Tried to set up Mims, and he does get the kill right into the chest of a Milford frontline player. And that has been their bread and butter so far. Set up to Mims for the kill. But he will now head back to serve. Superman socks and all. Substitution looming for BC High. It'll be number 12, Gerard Fresca, coming in. Excuse me, Gerard Fresca coming out. Replaced by Jeremiah Poe. It'll be Mims with the serve for BC High, received by Winship. Zwanek sets up Boaventura. The kill attempt is good. Attempted block at the line by Poe. But Boaventura puts that one away. Serve goes back to Milford. Zwanek now takes his turn serving, a couple of dribbles. Now sends it over the lefty. Received by BC High. Nagacholko with the attempted kill, and he will get it. Blocked at the net by Milford, but a violation, and BC High gets the point. 11-10 here in this third set. Milford with a 2-set advantage, looking for a third set win that will give them a match win as well as a playoff berth. Blocked at the line by Poe, and a kick attempt by Boaventura, but that one was out of play, circled around the net rather than over the net. Good effort by Boaventura. Shrugs his shoulders like, hey, worth a try. And an ace that time by BC High. By number 20, who is unfortunately not on the roster. Or if he is, there is an incorrect number. And after the ace from number 20 for BC High, he now sends that one into the net. So gets a point and then loses a point for BC High. Milford back with a 1-point advantage here in the third set. It'll be Boaventura serving from left to right for Milford. Received by BC High. Nagacholko with the attempted spike. Blocked at the net by Milford. Winship sets up Rivera. Rivera with the kill, and it's good. That one gets the crowd back into it. Milford doing well, executing the spikes so far in this third set. And if they can continue that, it could propel them to victory, only needing one more set win. Miscommunication that time. The ball didn't travel over the net off the dig attempt by Andrew Phillips. BC High thought that one was going to travel over the net, but it landed on their side. Milford now with another 2-point advantage. Boaventura again with the serve. He's been hot, or rather his team has been hot when he serves. Nagacholko with the spike. Oh, and that's out of bounds, the official says. Nagacholko has had a couple of those spike opportunities. Only been able to put away a couple of them. They've been too strong so far. But Milford will take the points any way they can get them, looking for one more set win to close out this match. 15-12 now. Nagacholko again with another opportunity, and again out of bounds. And Coach Jordan Roldan for BC High wants to talk things over. Milford needing only 9 more points to win this match. Timeout on the floor. We'll take one too. We'll be right back with coverage of Scarlet Hawks athletics. Milford boys volleyball versus BC High right here on Milford TV. Right back to action of the third set. Milford needing only 9 more points to clinch a 3-0 match victory over BC High. Let's see if BC High has any answer. Not that time. Jeremiah Poe just ducking out of the way, hoping one of his teammates was going to set that one over. But miscommunication on the Eagles' side. And Milford will take another point again with Boaventura serving. 17-12 in favor of Milford. Received by BC High. Nagacholko with the kill attempt. Winship sends it back over. BC High. Now Poe with the attempted kill. And that one looked like it was tipped by Zwanek. The ball did land out of bounds, but Zwanek tipped it on the way by. Now Now 17-13. BC High gets the serve back. A couple of quick substitutions. Ethan Lunny with the serve for BC High. Sends it over, received by Zach Brown for Milford. And Jack Winship with a dump attempt, and it's good. He had two BC High players jumping up for what they thought was going to be a kill attempt, but Winship surprised both of them. Milford now with the serve in their possession again. It will be Mendoza. Sends it over with his right hand. Another violation on BC High on Ethan Phillips. Milford closing in on what would be a playoff spot with a win here tonight. A win and they're in. A loss and they go home and their season is over. Oh, and what a kill attempt that time by Ole Ogiano. Doing his best to keep BC High in this game. A kill attempt and success. Gives the ball back to BC High. Freshly into the game is Jared DiPietro with the serve for BC High. Boaventura receives. Wanek sets up Winship. And the kill is good! Jack Winship, senior on this team, playing on senior night. And Milford with the serve. Into the net, saved by Zwanek. They had one hit left and they used it well. Blocked at the net by Milford. And Milford gets the point now. Staring at what looks like a 3-0 victory for Milford. They need 4 more points to get it. And that ball just barely gets over the net, and it will go for Milford. That serve attempt by Milford hit the top of the net and just fell right over. Sometimes those are the hardest to receive. They're expecting it coming in hard, and it just falls right to the ground. Another timeout for BC High. And we'll take the timeout too. Milford needing only 3 more points to clinch this third set and a match victory. We'll be right back. Coverage of this volleyball game, Milford versus BC High, right here on Milford TV. Back to action in this third set. Milford sends it over the net, looking for another 3 points. But that time the ball falls to the floor on their side, so the point will go to BC. BC down by 7 points in this third set, needing a miraculous comeback if they want a shot at this game. And Milford just sends that one way too hard on the far side, on BC High's side. Falls out of bounds, and BC High is back within 6. Received by Milford. Winship with the dump attempt again. He's had success with those and almost flies into the stands, but held himself back. So Milford High having success on this serve right now. Nice rally going now. It'll be Mims, and he gets the kill. Mims has really been the go-to option at the net so far for BC High, and a little bit of life now in that BC High bench. Down now only 4. Still needing another 2 sets if they're able to win this one to come away with a victory tonight. Another timeout. We'll take it too. We'll be right back with coverage of Scarlet Hawks Athletics on Milford TV. BC High needing a miracle to come back in this game, already down 2 sets. Milford needing only 3 more to win the 3rd set. But BC High with a little bit of wind in their sails right now after winning a couple of straight points. Down now only 4 in this 3rd set. They'd still need to win the next 2 if they want to come away with a victory. Milford looking to just finish this one off, needing only 3 more points. And right back to action is Ole Ogiano with the serve for BC. Received by Milford. Good effort in a diving attempt. Brown tries to bump it over, backhanded. Good effort by Milford that time, but again, another point for BC High, and they are pumped up over on their bench, but the Milford fan section is trying to encourage their players. Zwanek sets up Winship, and the point goes to Milford. That ball was out of bounds, but a violation on BC High, and really, I said it earlier, that's been their kryptonite so far. They just have not been able to avoid the violations in this game. And now Milford needing only 2 more points to come away with not only a victory here on senior night, but also a trip to the playoffs. Jack Winship, the senior, with the serve. Sends it over the net, received by Spielman. The setup for Mims. The dump is good. Not much Milford could do about that one. Mims has been killing them all day at the net. They had to account for the spike, but Mims surprised Milford with the dump attempt, and that one fell on the Milford side. And it will go back in the hands of Ethan Phillips with the serve. Received by Milford. Zwanek to Boaventura, and he spikes it into the net. Had a little pressure that time from Mims. 23-25 now. BC is really trying hard to come back in this game, and Coach Mainini for Milford can't see it. He calls another timeout. Milford, of course, winning the first 2 sets, the first one by a score of 25-23. The second one, 25-20. Of course, these 2 teams last met back in April on the 28th. Milford coming away with a 5-set victory. This one, by the looks of it, is not going to be that close down the stretch. Although it is close right now in this 3rd set. Milford only up by 2. But of course, that game back in April with alternating set victories for either side before Milford won the crucial 5th set. Again, here in Milford High School Gymnasium, Anthony Mazzini on the call. Thank you for spending part of your Friday night with us here at Milford TV. And I'm sure the Milford volleyball team appreciates your support as well, of course, here on senior night, as well as dedicating this game to Michael Haver, a freshman at Wentworth who passed away unexpectedly back in March, a star on the volleyball court as well as the soccer pitch for Milford a few years back. Back to 3rd set action. Zwanek sends it over the net. Attempted for Boaventura, but a good diving play by Nagacholko to keep that ball alive, and the rally continues. Mims now with another dump attempt. Saved by Milford. Zwanek now sends it over the net with his left hand. BC High resets. Mims. And a violation for Milford. Usually it's been the other way around tonight, but that time a violation eats up Milford. BC High trying to push for a 4th set. Down now only 1. It's still their serve. It'll be Ethan Phillips. He's been serving for quite a while now. All Milford can hope is his right arm gets a little bit tired. As a matter of fact, it looks very fresh as he sends that one well beyond the back line. And he comes out. And Milford, right now, serving for game and a playoff win. Victory, rather. Playoff berth, I should say. It'll be Zach Brown. All is quiet in the Milford gym. Could hear a pin drop, but not anymore. Zach Brown sends that one beyond the line on the far side, on the right side. And it'll be go back to BC High. Milford needing just one more point. BC High down 1. All is quiet again. Spielman with the serve, sends it over, received by Winship. Zwanek sets it up. Boaventura, the block at the line by Poe. Zwanek again. Orlana wanted the spike, but he settles with a little flick over. And that one's out of bounds, and Milford wins! BC High could not keep that one in bounds, and Milford comes away victorious. It is Milford High School persevering in the end. This one got close. It needed a miraculous comeback from BC High, but they could not get it. As the two teams shake hands, Milford comes away with a win on senior night. 3-0 over the BC High Eagles. And of course, this being a special night for Milford, not only is it their senior night honoring 4 seniors in this game, Jack Winship, Danny Zwanek, Aquila Rodriguez, and Danny Mendoza. Milford needed a win to get into the playoffs. And under the direction of head coach Andrew Mainini, they got just that, beating BC High by a final of 3-0. In the first set, it was Milford 25-23. It was really Boaventura who did a good job of keeping Milford in that first set with his serving. And for BC High, it was Mims who was a force at the net that really kept BC High competitive, but BC High did drop that first set 25-23. In the second set, Milford came away with a 25-20 victory in that set as well. Milford was down for most of that set and came back. And for BC High, it was violations that really killed them, and then that carried over again into the third set. Violations really killed them, but they showed the perseverance that Milford showed in the second set. They were down for most of that second set, but Milford was eventually able to pull away. And on a night that they dedicated this game to Mike Haver, he's probably smiling from up above.
Your boy, Mazine.
As Milford comes away with a victory, 3-0 over BC High. Well, that about wraps things up here from Milford High School Gymnasium. Milford with a 3-0 victory over BC High School. For cameraman and producer Rob O'Keefe, for cameraman Timber City, I am Anthony Mazzini. This has been a presentation of Milford Scarlet Hawks Athletics on Milford TV. See you next time, everyone, and good night.